Hello everyone, we will configure the EtherChannel with you in this lab. We have two topologies here, switch 1 and switch 2, switch 3 and switch 4. Since there is no configuration on these two switches, one of the ports must be blocked due to STP. Let's check them first and then start configuring them. First, we do the static EtherChannel, then we complete your lesson by making an example for the port aggregation protocol and the link aggregation protocol. First of all, I check out the switch 1, I write show spanning tree. When I type show spanning tree, you can see that this switch is root bridge and all ports have designated ports. Now let's come to switch 2 and call it show spanning tree. Here you can see that gigabit 0/1 is an alternate block, so our port here is blocked. We have two connections here now, but we can only use one. When we configure EtherChannel here, if we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 links, we will be able to use them all at the same time, so we will make these interfaces a member under a logical interface and our switch here will provide communication between these logical interfaces between our switch here. By doing this, we will provide both redundancy and load balance. Now let's check switch 3 and 4. Show spanning tree, and our switch here is root bridge. Let's check out the switch 4. At the moment, you can see that the gigabit 0/1 port of our switch here is blocked. A little later, when we configure the EtherChannel, none of our ports will be blocked here and we will be able to use all ports actively. Now, first of all, let's start making our configuration on the switch 3. I switch to global mode by typing CONFT. I use the interface range command because I will do the same operations on both interfaces. By typing interface range gigabit 0/0-1, we will enter the same commands in both interfaces. First of all, let's make this port a trunk, and after trunking, let's make the channel group settings. I write switch port trunk encapsulation.1q. First I specify that it is in .1q format, then I say switch port mode trunk. I wrote the commands briefly. Now we will make the channel group settings. I say channel group, here I write 1 in the group number. I set the mode to on, so I indicate that we will make a static EtherChannel. Now interface port channel 1 has been created automatically and it has become up. Now I say exit and let's configure our settings by going under interface port channel. Here, in the same way, I make this port trunk. I write switch port trunk encapsulation for short, then I set our switch port mode to trunk. Let's check our settings by saying end. When we type show interface trunk, you can see that the mode of interface port channel 1 is on and the encapsulation protocol is .1q. Let's say show EtherChannel summary. Right now you can see that gigabit 0/0 and gigabit 0/1 are under the port channel. Now let's set up the switch 4. I press CONFT and use the interface range command to enter commands for two interfaces at the same time. In short, I write switch port mode trunk. Now let's set up the channel group, say channel group 1 and set it to on in mode. Let's say exit and enter the interface port channel 1. Here, in the same way, let's write switch port trunk encapsulation.1q and make our mode trunk. I say end. When we write show interface trunk, you can see that port channel is active and the mode is on. Let's write show EtherChannel summary. You can see that EtherChannel is active here as well. Now let's write show spanning tree. Right now, you can see that the interface port channel here is the root port, so our switch here is the root bridge, and the port channel interface here is the root port. Now let's look at the switch 3. When I say show spanning tree, you can see that this switch is a root bridge, and you can see that all of its ports are designated ports. Now that we can actively use both of our ports, let's write a show EtherChannel protocol. Here, it shows that our mode is on in the protocol section, so we configure the static EtherChannel. Now let's look at the show EtherChannel load balance. In order to do load balance, you can see that we can do it according to the source and destination IP address in IP version 4 and IP version 6, and we can change this with the port channel load balance command in global configuration mode. Let's call it CONFT. When we type port channel load balance and put a question mark here, you can see the options. We have options such as destination IP, destination MAC, source destination IP, source destination MAC, source IP, source MAC. You can also set it from here according to which method you want to do it. Now let's remove the static EtherChannel settings we made and make the port aggregation protocol. Now let's go back to the interfaces and remove the old configuration. I'm removing channel group mode on, and then I'm changing my mode to desirable. I'm out of the interface, let me re-enter. Now let's change the mode. Now let's check our settings by saying that I made our mode desirable and let's say show EtherChannel summary. You can see that the port aggregation protocol is used here. Now let's go to switch 4 and set it to auto there. First, let's enter the interface, remove the configuration we made, and then make it auto. As you can see, I've done auto right now and I'm pressing enter. I say end. The interfaces are down, now it will reconnect. Right now, you can see that our connection and port channel are up. Let's say show EtherChannel summary. Here you can see that the link is active. Let's write show spanning tree. When we write show spanning tree, you can see that port channel is root and its status is learn. Let's look again. Now it has become forwarding. We are now actively using both of our interfaces. Now if you want, let's make a link aggregation protocol. Let's enter the interface again and set our mode to passive. I write no and make this place passive. I'm going to make the other side active as well. Now let's get to the switch 3. I go into the interface, remove the old command. Now I'm making this place active. Let's check our settings by typing end. You can see that our protocol here is Link Aggregation Control Protocol. Now our port channel is up. Let's check again. Right now, it says P here, bundle port channel. Our protocol is Link Aggregation Protocol. You can see that interface port channel is active here. Load balance is the same way. Let's look at protocol. When we look at the protocol, we can see that it is the Link Aggregation Control Protocol. You can configure the EtherChannel in this way. If you want, you can configure the EtherChannel using static, Cisco's Protocol Port Aggregation Protocol, or Link Aggregation Protocol. See you in our next lesson. Goodbye.